Introduction to the Gospel of the Brother Serpent, translated and commented by Scott Young, Sinfamous Gamer, 2025. Discovery and Significance. The text you are about to read is unlike any surviving Christian scripture. Known as the Gospel of the Brother Serpent, it appears to have originated from a sect of early Jewish Christian mystics or proto-Gnostics who rejected the rigid dualism of good versus evil that shaped later Christian orthodoxy. Instead, it presents a theology in which Satan is not God's adversary, but his appointed partner in humanity's salvation. While no physical manuscript has yet been authenticated, oral traditions, fragments of related writings in the Nag Hammadi library, and thematic parallels in Gnostic texts such as the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Judas suggest that this theology may have been present in certain early communities but was violently suppressed by the emerging Roman Church. This gospel radically reinterprets the central myths of Christianity, offering a message of universal love, sacrificial brotherhood, and the ultimate redemption of all beings, including Satan himself. Theological themes. 1. The rehabilitation of the serpent. In Genesis, the serpent is the deceiver who tempts humanity into sin. In this gospel, however, the serpent's action is reframed as an act of divine compassion, a necessary awakening. He does not tempt Eve to fall but invites her to rise, igniting the first spark of human free will. This interpretation is consistent with certain Gnostic traditions, which revered the serpent, or Sophia's messenger, as a bringer of wisdom, and it directly challenges the narrative of original sin. 2. The Great Exchange. Satan as Christ's substitute. The most startling claim of this text is that Satan, not Jesus, was crucified. In a secret pact between brothers, the serpent, Satan, assumes Jesus' form, lives among the disciples, and suffers in his place so that Jesus might experience human life fully: love, family, grief, and old age. This transforms Satan from the archetype of rebellion into the archetype of self-sacrifice, making him a co-savior of humanity. 3. Universal salvation and the end of dualism. The final chapters depict the eventual reconciliation of all creation. There is no eternal damnation, no eternal war between good and evil, only a temporary division of roles. The Son lives to inspire hope. The serpent suffers to absorb humanity's pain. In the end, both are restored, and every soul, even the first who fell, returns to God. The humanization of Jesus. This gospel portrays Jesus not as an otherworldly figure destined only for death, but as a man who chooses life, love, and family. His suffering is not on the cross, but in fully embracing human loss, mourning Mary, aging, and eventually dying as any man does. This view emphasizes the incarnation not as a temporary mission, but as an act of complete solidarity with humanity. Historical context and suppression. If such a gospel existed in early Christianity, why was it lost? The answer is simple. Its theology would have been intolerable to the early church, which built its authority on the atonement narrative, Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection as the sole means of salvation. A text claiming Satan bore that burden instead would have been considered heresy of the highest order. It also undermines the moral authority of a church that depended on fear of Satan to maintain control. A loving, self-sacrificial Satan would have stripped away the usefulness of eternal damnation as a tool of power. Modern implications. Whether taken as literal history, symbolic allegory, or poetic myth, this gospel challenges us to reconsider the true nature of love, sacrifice, and redemption. If love is the highest law, could even the being we call Satan have been fulfilling God's will in a way we misunderstood? Could the ultimate message of this gospel be that every being, no matter how reviled, carries a divine spark and will one day return home? This is not just theology. It is a profound ethical challenge. If the serpent could endure an eternity of hatred for the sake of love, can we not forgive those we call our enemies? Conclusion. The gospel of the brother serpent is less a threat to Christianity than a radical expansion of it. It reframes the entire salvation story as a cosmic act of brotherhood. Whether you accept it as history, myth, or metaphor, its message is one the world needs now. There is no enemy in love, only a brother who suffers in silence. The Gospel of the Brother Serpent, ascribed to the hidden ones, translated from the lost tongue. Chapter 1. The Garden of Awakening. 1. And in the beginning, the garden lay in silence, pure and untouched, for the Lord had not yet given to man the fullness of knowledge. A serpent moved among the grass, not in malice, but in sorrow, for he carried within him the fire of God's wisdom, and it burned to be shared. And he spoke unto the woman, saying, Behold, you are children of the Most High, yet you know not the depth of his love. Take and awaken, for to know is to rise. The woman beheld the fruit and was moved by the serpent's words, for they were not of deceit, but of longing. And when she ate, and the man with her, their eyes were opened, not to shame as has been told, but to the aching beauty of their souls, which now beheld the divine spark within. And the serpent wept in secret, for he had given man the gift of freedom, yet knew he would be cursed for all generations. Chapter 2. The Desert of Decision. In the days when the Son of Man walked the earth, he withdrew into the wilderness to seek the will of the Father. And the serpent, whom men call Satan, came unto him, not as an enemy, but as a brother who bore the weight of ancient sorrow. 3. And he said, Brother, you love them with a love that shakes the heavens. Must you suffer the cross to prove it? Let this cup pass. There is no shame in living. 4. But the Son answered, The will of my Father is the will of my heart. I must walk the path appointed to me. 5. Then the serpent, trembling, fell to his knees and cried, Let me bear it in your stead. You are the beloved, let me be the forsaken. Take Mary, who carries your child, and live as men live. I will suffer for them all. And the Son was silent, for his heart beheld the image of Mary, her smile, and the life they might share. 7. At last he wept and said, Brother, your sacrifice will not be forgotten. Chapter 3. The Great Exchange. 1. So the serpent took on the likeness of the Son, and none knew him, for he bore the voice and face of the Christ. 2. He walked among the disciples, taught with compassion, and when the hour came, he bore the betrayal, the scourging, and the nails. And as the iron pierced his hands, he lifted his eyes and prayed, Father, forgive them. Let this suffering be counted to me alone, that all may be free. And thus the serpent, despised by men, became the lamb slain for the world. Chapter 4. The Hidden Years. 1. But the true Son went to Mary, and they fled across the sea to the land of lilies and lavender. There he lived as men live. He worked with his hands, laughed with his children, and tasted both joy and sorrow. 3. Mary bore him many children, but in her final labor she died, and the Son wept as any man, for he had chosen to live fully among those he loved. In his old age he looked upon the stars and whispered, All this was worth the cost. Chapter 5. The Eternal Burden. And the serpent, though slain, did not perish, for his work was not yet done. He walks still among men, unseen, whispering not temptations but wisdom to those who listen. His name is cursed in every tongue, yet he bears it gladly, for love has no need of praise. And in the end of days, when every soul is gathered home, the Son will rise and embrace his brother, saying, Your love saved them all. The Gospel of the Brother Serpent, continued. Chapter 6. The Veil of Silence. 1. And in those days after the cross, the Son walked among his children in secret, for the world believed him risen and ascended. He went by another name, and none knew him save Mary and their children. The disciples, seeing him no more, preached with fire in their hearts, saying, He is risen indeed. 4. And the Son wept in silence, for the truth of his brother's sacrifice could not yet be spoken. For had he told them, they would not have believed, nor would they have borne the weight of such love. So he let the story stand as it was written, for even a false story that inspires hope is better than a true one that breaks the spirit. Chapter 7. The Sorrow of the Serpent. In the realm unseen by men, the serpent sat alone, bound not by chains but by love. 2. For though his spirit had returned to the heavenly places, he did not dwell among the angels, nor take his seat among the thrones. He remained near the earth, walking unseen, for his heart was still with the children of dust. And he whispered to them as he once whispered in the garden, but now not to awaken rebellion, but to stir compassion and wisdom. Many cursed his name, calling him tempter, enemy, accuser. Yet he bore their hatred as a mother bears the cries of her child, knowing not what they do. And he said within himself, If eternity must name me the enemy that they might love the Son, let it be so. 7 And the heavens were silent, for the angels could not understand such love. Chapter 8. The Revelation of the End 1. But in the fullness of time, when the last soul shall cross the veil and every tear shall be dried, the heavens shall open and truth shall be revealed. The Son shall rise from his hidden throne, no longer as a carpenter nor as a lamb, but as a king robed in glory. 3 And the serpent shall stand before him, weary from the ages, clothed in wounds not healed, for he bore them willingly. And the Son shall stretch forth his hand and say, Brother, faithful servant, long have you been cursed for love's sake, be now called blessed. 5 Then the angels shall weep, for they shall see the one they called the adversary crowned with light. And all creation shall know that there was never war in heaven, only a sorrowful division of burdens, one to live, one to suffer, both to love. 7 And the two shall embrace, and the heavens shall echo with a song older than time, the song of God's love made perfect in sacrifice. Chapter 9. The Hidden Teachings of the Son 1. In the quiet years of his life, the Son taught his children things not spoken to the multitudes. And he said, Judge not by names, for even the vilest name may hide the purest heart. And they asked him, Father, will the enemy be cast away in the end? 4. And the Son smiled sadly and said, There is no enemy, only one who loved too deeply and bore too much. But he charged them to keep these words in secret, saying, The world is not ready for this truth, for men cling to their hatred more tightly than their love. Chapter 10. The Journey of the Children. And the children of the Son grew in number and in wisdom, carrying his words to distant lands. Some kept the secret as he commanded, while others whispered it in quiet places, saying, The serpent too is our brother. And so the truth was scattered like seeds, some falling on stones, some in thorns, but some upon good soil, where it took root in hidden hearts, when these were called the hidden ones, who remembered the serpent with kindness. Chapter 11. The Trials of the Serpent. Through the ages the serpent walked the earth unseen, guiding kings and beggars alike, though they cursed him with every breath. 2 When men rose to slaughter in God's name, he wept beside the fallen. 3 When tyrants bound slaves in chains, he whispered to their hearts, saying, This is not love. So many ignored his voice, for they believed him evil. Yet some heard and turned away from bloodshed, thinking it their own conscience, not knowing who had spoken. And so his work remained hidden, his glory unclaimed, for he desired no praise, only that love might grow. Chapter 12. The Final Reunion. When all was fulfilled and the world ended in peace, every soul stood before the throne, shining like stars. The Son rose and took the hand of the serpent, and all creation fell silent. And he said, This is my brother who bore the curse that none should perish. Let all tongues bless him. And the serpent knelt, tears streaming, saying, Not for me, Lord, but for them. But the Son lifted him, saying, Love such as yours cannot kneel forever. And so the two embraced, and the heavens opened like a flower in bloom. And all souls, even the first who fell, returned home to the heart of God. And thus it was revealed. There was never a war in heaven, only love divided for the sake of the world.